Good evening. Welcome to the June 6, 2023 City of Minot Planning Commission meeting. Call the roll.
Bauman. Bauman. Domes. Bacon.
Yes.
Gates. Hoghalter. Iverson.
Yes.
Kibler.
Here.
Leiter. Longton.
Here.
Menham.
Here.
Nisdahl.
Here.
Offerdahl.
Here.
And Pontanila.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
All right. You can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 4. It's the approval of the May 5th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Open the floor up to the commissioners for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Kibler,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fiken. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay. Close the discussion. We'll call the roll.
Faken.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Kibler.
Yes.
Longton.
Yes.
Nisdahl.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
And Pontanila.
Yes.
And motion carries.
All right. Moving on to agenda item number 5, case 2023-6-01, preliminary plat. Public hearing request by Steve Larson, owner for a preliminary plat to subdivided a quarter section into 2 plotted lots. The proposed plot to be named S&J subdivision. That will turn it over to staff for findings and report.
Thank you, Chairman Offerdahl. Subject property is located at the far north of the extraterritorial area, located off of 16th Street Northwest. The applicant seeks to subdivide a quarter section to separate the home from the agricultural land that is presently farmed. The property is zoned agriculture, and each of the proposed lots meet the minimum lot size required by the Ag District. The 2012 comp plan did not provide a designation for this property. However, the 2040 comp plan that was just adopted on May 15th depicts this area as agriculture. So here's a site photo of the home and the surrounding land to be separated from the farmland. Here's the findings of fact. They can be found in staff's written report. And staff's recommending approval with no conditions on this item. And I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff? Okay, seeing none. Open the public hearing. Is there anybody in attendance who wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Anybody in attendance who wishes to speak in opposition of this agenda item? Anybody wish to speak for or against this agenda item? Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Turn it over to the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve based on staff findings of fact.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Kibler, second by Commissioner Longton. Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, call the roll.
Bauman.
Yes.
Bacon.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Kibler.
Yes.
Longton.
Yes.
Menham.
Yes.
Nisdahl.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
And Pontanila.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 6, case 2023-6-3, zoning map amendment and preliminary plat, 55th Crossing, 9th edition. Public hearing request by Ackerman Surveying, representing Stonehaven Development, owner for a zoning map amendment from R3 Multiple Residential District to R1 Single Family Residential District. That will turn it over to staff for their findings in the report.
Thank you, Chairman Offerdahl, members of the commission. The subject property is located to the southeast of 55th Street Southeast and 18th Avenue Southeast, approximately a half a mile south of Nedrose High School. The subject property is presently zoned R3 Multiple Residence District, which follows our RM medium density residential district standards. So the subject property maintains two future land use designations on the 2012 future land use map, which is the future land use map in effect at the time of application. The proposal aligns with the future land use map designation of low-density residential, but does not align with the medium-density designation. The area denoted by low-density residential is clearly dominant, and staff finds that no future land use map is needed. Also, the 2040 comp plan, which will be utilized for all cases moving forward, shows this area suburban residential, and the proposal does align with the now adopted future land use map. Here's the preliminary plat illustrating building and driveway footprints on each proposed lot. All of the proposed lots meet the bulk requirements of the proposed R1 zoning. Here's the findings of fact, and they can be found in staff's written report. The preliminary plat does require conditions to meet the design requirements, which I'll go over in the recommendations. And the Minot Planning Commission has the authority to hear the case and provide a recommendation to City Council. Staff is recommending approval of the zoning map amendment and preliminary plat subject to 4 conditions. Number 2 is a multi-parter. So number 1 is standard for utilities to serve each lot. Number 2 includes a development agreement to address various infrastructure requirements, such as capping the trunk line and installation of individual water and sewer service lines to each lot. Number 2 also includes repair, replacement, and completion of the roadway and installation of street lighting. Number 3 specifies that the development agreement be recorded along with the final plat. And number 4 surrounds a financial security related to the aforementioned infrastructure installation. I'll go back. Sorry about that. So at the end of the day, the infrastructure that's in place in front of it's partially constructed. There's a first lift of asphalt. It's about 7 years old. It may or may not be beaten up beyond repair, so replacement may be needed, and that's pretty much what this specifies, is that we want to make sure that if the city's going to take on maintenance responsibility moving forward, that it's an acceptable condition from the get-go, that we're not taking on a slew of backlogged maintenance prior to approving the subdivision. We want to make sure that the infrastructure is in good condition. So that's effectively what these 4 conditions are ensuring as they move forward. And the applicant is amenable to these and has a copy of the conditions provided to them prior to this meeting. But I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Van Dyke, I don't know those terms, first lift and second lift. I assume this is like layers.
Yeah, Chairman Offerdahl, Commissioner Kibler, I'll give you my understanding, which probably aligns with your terminology needs. I don't know if Emily needs to come up, but yeah, exactly that. It's the first layer, and then the second layer is going to help it be stronger than just one layer alone. How's that? I'm getting the nod from our assistant city engineer. So,
Any other questions for city staff? Okay, with seeing none, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody in attendance who wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item?
Good evening. I'm Sean Weeks with Ackerman Esfold, representing the applicant, and just wanted to let you know that we concur with staff report conditions and recommendations. I would be happy to answer any questions if you've got them.
Any questions for Mr. Weeks?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just one question. Just curious why you're moving from a multi-district divisional neighborhood to a single-family home. I'm for it. I'm just, was there any just good reason or
I believe the applicant thinks that there's a market shift.
market
and
shift?
A demand for this more of an estate-sized lot, waterfront,
Okay.
somewhat unique in that respect.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. We'll call you up if we got anything else. Anybody else wish to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Anybody wish to speak in opposition of this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and turn it over to the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve based on staff finding of fact and the conditions noted.
Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Giblert,
I will second.
second by Commissioner Iverson. Is that right? Okay, any discussion? Any further discussion? All right, call the roll.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes.
Longton,
Yes.
Menum,
Yes.
Nisdall,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Pontanila.
Yes.
And motion carries.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 7, case 2023-6-02, zoning map amendment with PUD, Citizen Alley. Public hearing request by Askell Group, LLC, owner for a zoning map amendment from CBD Central Business District and C2 General Commercial District to CBD Central Business District with PUD overlay. We'll stop there and let the city describe this better.
Thank you. Chairman Offerdahl, members of the commission, I'll go through this. Yes, this is the properties otherwise known as Citizens Alley. So the subject property is bound in white, 300-foot buffer is denoted in pink. So these properties are just west of the tracks that run across Central Avenue and are located along the southeast corner of the intersection of East Central and First Avenue Southeast. The subject properties include the Freight House, the building known as High Third, and the building housing Prairie Sky Breads, as well as the expanse between the buildings that is being called Citizens Alley. So the subject properties are presently zoned CBD Central Business District and C2 General Commercial District. The proposal includes rezoning to CBD Central Business District with a planned unit development overlay. The 2012 comprehensive plan denotes the area as both downtown mixed use and commercial. The 2040 comp plan shows the subject properties as entirely downtown mixed use. No future land use map amendment is needed, as any amendment applied for to amend the 2012 comp plan is already in effect by the adoption of the 2040 comp plan. Here's a few photos of the site. The first picture on the left is looking at Prairie Sky Breads with High Third in the background. Second photo shows the property facing north, where you can see the Freight House building in the rear and an indoor parking garage in the foreground. This is a super high-level overview of what's being proposed. So the proposal seeks to establish a community-oriented activity area that would facilitate a variety of different uses, including outdoor recreation, an amusement park, temporary amusement park, farmers market, temporary sales, et cetera. So this would include activities such as skating rinks, curling, and temporary sales of goods. Ultimately, the area between the Freight House and High Third / Prairie Sky Breads will be used as flexible programmable space to generate outdoor activities in this part of downtown. Some character elements that fall outside of what would be allowed in the underlying zone relate to signage types and sizes and lighting. There will be a larger sign on the north side of the property connected between the two buildings, providing the Citizens Alley name. That's the one at the top left of the slide. Also, a flag-style sign denoting the Freight House would be added. That's at the bottom right of the slide. And finally, the development will incorporate Edison-style lighting, which due to its unshielded design is not presently permitted in commercial settings. Staff is evaluating making an exception to this style of lighting, more broadly applicable to all commercial developments in the future, given its extremely limited use and its ability to establish character and for outdoor lighting or outdoor dining and activity areas. So staff did receive an objection to the proposal from a neighboring property owner, which was distributed to the commission earlier today. We emailed that about noon today. The objection largely surrounded the public access easement shown in green, traversing from northwest to southeast along the backs of several buildings where Citizens Alley is proposed. Staff is recommending the item be tabled until July 11th Planning Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. in City Hall, council chambers, to provide both the applicant and neighboring property owner time to discuss the issue and come up with an amenable path forward. This will also give staff time to review any revisions and provide an update to Planning Commission on any changes to the proposal that may result from the ongoing discussions. So again, staff is recommending the item be tabled. And should the Planning Commission concur with staff, any motion to table the item must include the date, time, and location. And I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for city staff?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Van Dyke, I don't know if this is an appropriate question for you or not, but what is the gist of the objection? That it limits access for businesses that are already there?
Yeah, Chairman Offerdahl, Commissioner Kibler, right? So there is a public access easement that abuts numerous properties back there. Most of them are owned by Axel Group, which is the applicant. And then there's another property owner that owns one of the pieces of property, and that's the objection. And so the concern via the objection is that if this is approved, inevitably the public access easement would be vacated. Although that is not the intent of the planned unit development proposal that's before you today, this body is not evaluating whether or not to vacate that easement. That's an entirely different process. It's still something that ultimately needs to be addressed at some point between the applicant, Axel Group, and the other property owner. And so rather than applying, say, conditions at the staff level from the city that are going to affect the property if it were approved in perpetuity, rather than just have the property owners work together to figure out what is an amenable solution, bring it to the city, and then we can add our conditions, if any, are required to that to make sure it moves forward so that all parties are happy with the end result. We just don't want to add conditions and then no one's happy, right?
So are they cut off by this proposal?
Commissioner Offerdahl, I'm sorry, Chairman Offerdahl, Commissioner Kibler, no. So there is, they front First Avenue Southeast. They have right-of-way access. Also, there's a stub of right-of-way to the east of their property. And then, of course, with the public access easement, they have additional access to the northeast property boundary at this time. And so, even if the public access easement was vacated, they'd still have multiple means to access their property.
Thank you.
Any other questions for city staff? Okay. Seeing none then, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item?
Chairman Offerdahl and members of the Planning Commission, my name is Ryan Ackerman. I'm a member of Axel Group. I'm here with my wife, Jessica, who is actually the managing member, the boss of it all. Want to just express my appreciation to city staff for working on this project with us, and also an appreciation to the Planning Commission for considering a table motion so that we can work out our differences with our neighbor, basically. at the end of the day, we think we can make a proposal to our neighbor that improves the value of their property without compromising the value of the public space that we're trying to develop and deliver to the city. I think we'll get there.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ackerman?
Thank you.
Yeah, call me up. Thank you, sir. Anybody else that wishes to speak on behalf of this agenda item? Anybody wish to speak in opposition of the agenda item?
Chairman Offerdall. Just as a reminder, because we don't do this very often, just should we be tabling it tonight to not close the public hearing, it'll remain open and carry on. It will pick up where we left off July 11th.
Yeah, and then I guess that's what I would reach out and entertain a motion from one of the commissioners to go ahead and table this item like the recipients and staff would like, and we'll leave the public hearing open until next meeting.
Commissioner Offerdahl, this is Commissioner Bauman, and I would like to make a motion to table this issue until Tuesday, July 11th at 5:30 p.m. at City Council Hall for our next meeting.
Yeah, I'll second that motion. I'm glad that Tim made it. I didn't know it was Tuesday.
So we got a motion to table from Vice Chair Bauman and a second from Commissioner Kibler. Is there any further discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, let's call the roll.
Bauman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Kibler,
Yes?
Longton,
Yes.
Minnem,
yes,
Nisdall,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
and Pontanila.
Yes.
And motion carries.
Okay, agenda item number 8, other business. Is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to welcome and introduce Tara Lindquist to the team here. She is our new associate planner, and she's taken over for Peter. So this, I think, is her first planning commission meeting. So after the meeting, if everyone can say hello to her and introduce yourselves, would appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Any other business? Okay, moving on to agenda number 9 is adjournment. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks.